and that's the thing I guess you'd expect to see. I mean, this tournament brings out the best in the best, and that's and that's what makes it exciting. That's what makes this Final Four is going to be great. I think when it gets down to it, you're going to see some of these guys that are gonna just take it. The Gamecocks, they play this outstanding defense. Can they hold up? What's going to happen?
I think Oregon's a pretty good example of losing their top scorer, and boy, I tell you, they've gone a lot farther than I ever thought they would. I thought they'd be the first Pac-10, Pac-12 team out of there, but they're still hanging around. And I would have loved to have seen a Gonzaga-Arizona game. Unfortunately, Xavier, beat Arizona, but I think that would have been a great game. Arizona had it, was in a perfect spot. The finals are in Glendale, 90 miles up the road. Very easily could have had two Pac-10 teams in the finals, Oregon and Arizona. Of course, I don't know. I'm not so sure that Arizona would have beaten Gonzaga. That would.
It's a good team.
Yeah,
they're
that's
terrific defensively. One of the things I wanted to point out about the Final Four. One of the websites that I follow is the KenPom.com and Pomeroy's college basketball ratings and his adjusted defense, which is his own proprietary statistic on adjusting defense for the opponents, and his top four were Virginia, South Carolina, Gonzaga, and Florida. Now we saw how far South Carolina and Florida they played in the Elite Eight, and Gonzaga right there. South Carolina, these numbers to me, they mean something. So I want to pump up Ken Pom, because I think there are a lot of people who would have looked at those brackets and South Carolina just didn't fit. They just weren't going to fit. But one of the things that doesn't lie is defense, and there are different ways to measure the defensive statistics in a way that is meaningful. And I think Ken Pom does it great. And just looking at his top four, number 2, South Carolina, number 3, Gonzaga, number 4, Florida. They all played well in the tournament. Gonzaga and South Carolina still there.
Yep.
And then you look a little farther down, and you've got a team like UCLA, which were nowhere near the board. I mean, they were in not even breaking the top 100 or right at the top 100 of his adjusted defense. And
what's this thing doing now?
So their offense was clearly what carried them. So it's going to be a great Final Four. I think the defense, it's the immovable object.
Yeah.
Well,
because South Carolina, like I said, number 2 in adjusted defense, Gonzaga number 3 in adjusted defense, and then on the other side you got a team like North Carolina and Oregon. Oregon's defense also getting better. When they lost Boucher, he's sort of a stretch big, and now they have the guy in the middle. I can't remember his name, but the guy in the middle who is playing with his back to the bucket a little bit more, and it changes the dynamic there a lot.
Yeah, that would, sure.
Yeah, so it's going to be 2 great Final Four games.
I saw some odds today. I don't know what line. It was just in the they had North Carolina by 4.5 and Gonzaga by 7. So those are both number 1 seeds.
Yeah, Gonzaga's a high-scoring team. South Carolina can score a little bit, but their forte is defense. 7 points for 2 defensive teams, that's a lot. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's a lot.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have guessed that. That's kind of one of those things where I think I like Gonzaga, but I might take the points there. Especially in a close game that might come down to free throws. Even though Gonzaga is a very good foul shooting team, they've missed some shots late in games. Where you just sort of wonder, God, are they gonna blow this game because they can't shoot their free throws? They got an 80% shooter and a 76% shooter, and they're missing foul shots down the stretch.
What do you think of Arizona's meltdown? 7-point lead with 2.5 minutes to go?
I know. I was screaming at the TV, get it down to your bigs. You've got a height advantage. Get it down to your big guys. Take advantage of the thing that you do better than them. And they just it felt like they just choked. Yeah. That's what it felt like to me looking at it.
Yeah.
They settled for too many perimeter shots. They didn't sock it down low, and their defense, they didn't make enough stops down the stretch, but it's because their offense put so much pressure on them. Arizona didn't score much.
And when you get to this part of the tourney, I think the defense is the key. It's really going to come down to somebody. If you get off to a slow start and somebody gets off hot, then and then the clamp down D comes in, it just changes the complexion of the whole thing. So like I said, I'm kind of pulling for the Gamecocks, just to I don't know. Yeah, I've got a brother who lives in South Carolina. He's got me pumped up for him, and just watching.
He won't hold that against you.
Yeah, I know. But like I said, I think they're kind of they are compared to the other teams. They're one of the underdogs.
I'm a West Coast guy. I'm a West Coast guy. I always have been.
In my opinion, they're the wrong USC team to be there. So
never thought of that.